Hi there and welcome all. Today on display is something a little more left of field. Here we have the Xeno Watch Basel Monochrono reference 3851-A1. Now when you think of a chronograph, I can guarantee that something like this would not immediately come to mind, with it probably being looking more like that. Now, a chronograph like this lacks some of the common features that we've come to associate with the traditional chronograph layout, such as subdials and a standard pusher layout. So then, what do we call this and how do we use it? This style of chronograph is called a minute chronograph, with its popularity peaking in the 1960s, which is arguably the golden age of the chronograph, with it then pretty much disappearing as fast as it had entered the market. These minute chronographs were produced by the likes of Seiko and Omega, with Seiko famously producing it for the 1964 Olympics, transferring its design to the Style 60s line of the present. I digress. History aside, how do you even use it? The minute chronograph is frighteningly simple to use, with there being a couple of important elements. The first of which, as with other conventional chronographs, is the pusher. On all minute chronographs, there will only be one pusher, making this what we would call a mono pusher. On a mono pusher, as the name suggests, all the functions are controlled through the single pusher: the start, the stop, and the reset. But then, where are all the subdials, like in our normal chronographs? The true functionality of the watch is in the name minute chronograph, with the chronograph function only having the capacity to display elapsed time of up to a minute. But we can still measure events longer than a minute with the next important element of a minute chronograph, the inner rotating bezel. This inner rotating bezel replaces the minute subdial and can be used by lining up the 60 marker directly with the minute hand, like so. Whereas the time elapsed, the orientation of the bezel will show exactly by how much. Now, one of the greatest things about this complication is that it clears up the dial immensely. Those of us with traditional chronographs know the pain of trying to read the minute subdial when the hands are covering it, with it being completely covered for a period of about up to 3 hours. A problem you just don't have with watches such as these. This complication gives all the functionality of a chronograph with the readability of a time-only watch. Focusing on this watch in particular, the Xeno Monochrono, it uses the new old stock Oris Caliber 725. The Caliber 725 is a manually wound, fully integrated lateral clutch column wheel chronograph that just has a superb action, with it both being crisp and accurate. This vintage caliber was developed in collaboration with one of the greatest chronograph experts of the modern age, Dubois Duprat. Now, I know that he gets a lot of hate for his chronograph modules, but can you imagine the levels of expertise and knowledge that this guy had to come up with for these solutions? Now, this is probably one of his lesser known examples and offers an entry point into the weird and wonderful world of vintage chronograph movements at an incredibly attainable price point. Now, if this watch has taken your fancy, check out our website or even come in store where we'd be happy to help you out. Let me know down in the comments what you'd like to learn about next, anything I've missed out on or anything like that. Thanks for watching and see you guys next time.